go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, no one's talking about it.
No, there are some people. I mean, I'm in a chat that there are people talking about the price. But in a general sense, I went to work today, for instance, and there are some people that have Bitcoin, and I talked to them. Did you know we hit 109K of all-time high? Yeah. But they're like, I do it in Canadian dollars. It's 150 something K. Like, what the heck are you doing in Canadian dollars? This is US.
I never look at it in Canadian dollars.
100%. I only look at it in
I think this
Mexican
is Super Bowl.
pesos.
We're recording, just so you know. And Mexican, you look at it in Mexican
No,
peso?
I'm kidding.
Oh, and you just US dollars.
Yeah, the funny thing is somebody coined the Canadian dollar, the Arctic Peso. I think that was Ben Perrin. I could be wrong. And I thought it was phenomenal.
It's brilliant.
Yeah, Arctic Peso.
I think it's bullish. No one reached out to me today about the all-time high. Nobody. No one. All other all-time highs, I'll get between, 8, a dozen, kind of instant text messages. Not one.
I think a lot of people are still reeling from the Leafs losing Game 7. So because of that, people are still trying to gather their thoughts.
I don't know. No, it's weird. I'm not even going to go with the Leafs.
Are we not? Come on, let's talk about
this. Are you a Leafs fan?
I don't care about the hockey.
Oh,
I haven't watched hockey.
I only talk about the Leafs with Leafs fans.
If you want to talk 20 years ago, I could talk 30 years ago, 40 years ago.
So you can't handle the suffering, so you jumped off the bandwagon. That's what you're telling me, Len.
I just stopped watching altogether. And think about it. Like, I talked to my neighbor who's a big time Leafs fan. His kid dressed up in Leafs garb for the Game 7 and all this stuff. Okay. And I talked to him after the Game 7. He's like, what do you think? Oh, brutal, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I have so much more free time. Because I don't.
But Len,
and
you have to suffer. You're a Bitcoiner. You understand the value of suffering.
There is no suffering.
You have to suffer so that the enjoyment of the victory will be that much tastier, Len. So in effect, we have to thank the Leafs for making us suffer for years and decades, because when they win, we will be insufferable to everyone around us.
My dad, when he came...
And you're not going to be allowed to celebrate. And we're going to have a week-long party here at Rockstar.
My dad came to Canada 1967, and he saw the Leafs win the cup for the last time they won, and since then.
So my dad came to Canada in 1965. In 1967, a friend of his said, "Hey, we're going to go to the Gardens and watch the Leafs. They're going to win the Stanley Cup." And my dad, "Do you want to come with us?" And my dad said, he didn't know much about hockey, but he goes, "I'm not going to go. I'll go next time. I heard they win all the time."
That was
1967.
Different time.
He never went.
Do you remember the Gardens?
Yeah, I was at the Gardens. I used to watch Marley's games at the Gardens because I used to deliver the Mississauga News, and you would get
the 80s Marleys you're talking about.
That would be the 80s.
Yeah.
They were at the Gardens. And then I would get to go to Leaf games in the late 80s, and my dad's drywall company started really doing well. He split season tickets with someone. So they were stubs. You would break off the tickets and you would go down to the Gardens. And I went to the Gardens and playoffs like 92, 93.
So that was the year that they went to the Game 7?
93. Now you're putting me on the spot. I think it was 93. We lost when Wayne Gretzky, high stick Gilmore, and Frazier didn't call the penalty. I think that was 93.
That was 93.
So I was able to go to some of those games. I was not at that game, but I was able to go.
That was in LA, that game. You went to.
Okay, I guess that makes sense. Yeah. I can't remember. It was a fog, and but I got to go to some of the playoff run.
That was an incredible year. That was the first. Maybe 89, 90 was the first good year, but that was the first year that the Leafs actually had a chance to do some damage, and they had some good players.
And we beat Montreal all season. We were undefeated against Montreal that year.
Destined. Yeah.
And Frazier screwed us, and Gretzky.
No, well, Gretzky, you can't blame him.
No, of course you can't blame Gretzky.
It was Frazier.
I saw him up at Collingwood at Blue Mountain. I almost blamed him right in the spot. That would have been 30 years later.
As you should. But the Gardens was a magical place to
magical.
Watch it. And I remember the last year was in existence for Leafs games. And I was still going to school. I just bought as many tickets as I could.
Did you?
I used a credit card. I just wanted.
It was the place. It was the place. Yeah. It had character.
Those escalators going up and they were like.
Do you remember the? I don't know if you.
The troughs. Those piss troughs.
The piss troughs were crazy, especially like as a young kid going to the washroom, and nobody really warned. I was given no heads up about this piss trough. You're just thrown into this. You're like, what is this? The hot stove restaurant was like Ballard's actual restaurant, where I think he had his chef there. He
lived there.
Did he live in the Gardens?
He lived in the Gardens.
So that was like his restaurant kitchen. They took the hot stove from the Gardens, and it's at the Scotiabank Arena outside the hot stove restaurant. The original hot stove, it's there if you go to the hot stove restaurant.
The gondola was supposed to come down and have been somehow preserved, but Ballard decided no. He just ended up getting it trashing it, and they never ended up preserving that.
Which gondola?
The original gondola with Foster Hewitt in it. And
Oh, got it. Up there.
yeah, that ended up. He ended up just dismantling that. He was a piece of work.
He used to sit in that little box.
Yeah.
Like just above the net, like to the left.
The northeast corner of the
Yeah,
garden.
yeah. Was that the northeast corner?
I think it was northeast corner.
And he had like a mirrored glass that would slide it closed. So if it was closed,
And
he could see out, but you couldn't see him. But it would slide open sometimes. You could see him in there.
And Clancy was always with him, if you remember.
Yeah, was it? Okay.
So
I don't
he
remember
lived
that.
near me when I was growing up, and he knew my dad.
Wow, you're born in Toronto.
I was born, for the first few years I lived there.
Oh,
and,
yeah, I am too. Off
actually,
Weston Road, just south of the 401.
Okay, so my first few years I was at Yonge and Lawrence. And King Clancy lived nearby.
You're fancy.
I certainly am.
You're a fancy person.
As you could tell.
You are a fancy
Have you
person.
seen my car?
I've seen everything I need
No, you
to
haven't.
know.
It's full of, it's beautiful. Nobody's going to.
What car are you driving?
It's a 2002 Volkswagen Jetta.
Oh, that's
TDI.
I know the model.
Yeah, and it starts and it goes.
You're a proper Bitcoiner.
I am. I could leave the keys in it, and I could, no joke.
And that's why I'm surprised you're coming to Bitcoin Las Vegas with me.
Well, I just want to go with you. I can't go anywhere without you, Todd. I feel lost. I'm thankful.
The only thing I'm looking forward to, I guess this might come out while that conference is going on, or maybe right after it. I'm not sure. But the only thing I'm really looking forward to is the hall with all the vendors, to go and talk to everybody in there. Because you find great people in there, and there's little breakout conferences that are really good, but the main hall is almost useless. Like completely.
Has there ever been anything good?
No, but you know what? In the hallway, like for example, when I was at the Bitcoin Miami conference, I bumped outside one of the breakout rooms that's not the main hall. I bumped into John Vallis, had a great, do you remember John Vallis?
Sure do.
Yeah, great guy. Talked to him there. Like, so it's the people there. You're not really going for the conference.
And this is a meetup. This is a glorified.
Don't start giving me the Italian. What are you, some old Italian guy now starting to shake your hands at me here?
Apologies, but we'll get into that after the show.
Yeah, it is a meetup. I get it, but we have to have some human interaction. I'm not a big fan. I'm not a big fan. I'm a big fan of another one I went to that's going to make you sick to your stomach, but I was a huge fan of it. Was Bedford, England, Peter McCormick's one. It was 500 people. Jack Mahler's is there, Preston Pish is there, Jeff Booth's there, 500 people. You're just at the break, you're talking to everybody. It was really high signal. That one was really.
He's no longer doing the What Ledger Did podcast, right? It's now, he gave it up to his buddy Danny.
That's right. Yeah.
So
it's not What Ledger Did. Is that your joke?
Because Ledger sponsors them, right? And it's not mine. I can't take credit for it. I don't know.
I've never heard it before.
So I can't. It's beautiful content, by the way. I can't take credit for it. Whoever did
caught me off guard.
But it works out well because this guy who has been in this business for years.
Who,
right?
Peter McCormick?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a good guy.
How good of a guy is he? Subservient to his sponsors or to his listener?
Yeah, because he's promoting Ledger. Is that why you're saying that?
You remember BlockFi? And he didn't.
Forgot.
He didn't say anything about him taking his money off BlockFi before, and it was just sheer time.
Did he not? Okay.
He didn't. He did take his money off. Didn't say anything.
But you have to say. But did he take it off because he knew something was going wrong?
No, it was just sheer luck.
Well, then you're not going to tell everyone every move you're making.
Then why have a sponsor if you're not going to use the service? Like if you believe in something,
okay,
and you want to take their money, use their service.
Okay.
To me, then who is he trying to cater to? It's the sponsors. It's the money that comes in. That is his MO. Not the people that listen. They're secondary. They're just there.
Fuck, I got a real Bitcoiner here today. This is great.
Very angry. This is great. Very angry.
Are you ever not angry?
Yeah, all the time. I'm a happy guy.
Who's more angry, you or Joey? You guys are different anger.
That's a good way to put it.
You have different anger.
Yeah. I don't think I'm an angry guy. I don't think I'm pissed off. Maybe I am. I don't know. But I
think your anger is coming from a good-hearted place.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But it's certainly an evolving anger too, right?
Are you?
It is.
Your anger is evolving?
Well,
your wisdom is growing. Look, so is your anger.
As you get older, like you could.
What are you trying to say?
Well,
I was on a podcast the other day and I came on the podcast and like, oh, here comes the old people.
No, I'm going to say in general, things that were important to you, say a decade ago they're no longer important to you now. And things that are important to you now were not on the radar decades ago.
Yeah,
right? So,
true.
So your thoughts evolve. Am I speaking all right? Am I loud enough and all?
No, yeah, I'm just checking. Yeah, no, we're all good.
Okay.
Yeah. We're good. We're good.
I see the OBS on there, by the way. And you know what? OBS I use for recording my NHL 94 games, by the way.
I'm just now petrified to play you because we've never made it happen. It's all on me. But I just got to ask though, for the Canadian Bitcoiners, Joey did upgrade his kind of look. You know, your basement hasn't changed. Like we were just talking about this. Like you're never going to paint the wall. You're never going to.
I may paint it, but that's as far as I'm going to go. Like why? Is there a need to do it?
I don't know. Maybe it makes you feel different in a different space.
Don't change how I feel, man. I feel the same exactly. It's, you know, the environment I'm in, it's where I like. Eventually that will change. We could talk about this. I can't say it here in the show because it's more of a private thing. But things will change eventually. Until then, I am here.
I got some breaking news after this.
No.
I'm making myself a little note here. Ask Len what is changing.
Make a note.
Making a little note. Hey,
but
listen. But you know what? You know what I really appreciate. You don't go anywhere. I don't think you tried to tell me you golf and you have friends you golf with. I don't know if I believe that. I think maybe you just go to the driving range by yourself. But I'm happy that you have friends. But I would like to see pictures of evidence of this. Like I believe you have friends. It's not that I don't think you're capable of having friends. I don't think you want friends.
You know, I did take a picture.
I'm surprised when you tell me you go golfing with friends because I don't think Len. Again, not that you can't have friends. I just don't think you want friends.
You know what?
So I think you go golfing yourself and you're like looking for a threesome that joins in. You're the foursome for the golf and you just go with like random people.
No, you know what? I don't have any.
And then I'd like to say something else. I want to say thank you because I don't think you go anywhere, but for some reason you come to our events and you're only there for like 90 minutes. Not like you come for the whole time.
Exactly.
God wouldn't want you to come for the whole time, but you do come for like 90 minutes here and there. And whenever I call out the Canadian Bitcoiners from the front, because I'm very happy that you guys are there.
This.
You guys are never in the room.
I mean,
no, you're never in the room. But I actually do call you out, so you guys know. I appreciate it that you guys come. It's really I'm always happy when you guys.
You know, I think the reputation precedes me more than anything. Like I do go here and there, not many places, but yeah, when you have your events, I'm there. They just
appreciate it. The last one was we had Francis on the stage.
Yeah.
We had Leon Vancouver come in from Germany and talk. It was Ben was there now a second time doing live workshops with people.
That was a long one. I wasn't expecting.
We're never going to do it that long again.
That was 8 hours.
It was too long. It's too long. We're not going to do it that. It was fun. We did it. We just had a lot of high caliber speakers, like adding a lot of value. So
I would have stayed for the whole event. But I wasn't aware it was going to be for that long.
We only sent out 83 emails that it was going to be that long. So it's good that our emails are on your open immediately list.
No, all I got was the one thing I needed to know. You need my help. That's the one.
Yeah, you always offer. Thank you.
Right, because I don't. In my opinion, you can never have enough grunts to do stuff underground.
Especially we're not an event company and stuff. Actually, we got a lot of feedback that people were shocked. I don't know if you probably don't know this in the real estate community. All the events are not running right now. Like nobody can get people out to events in the real estate world because of the state of the real estate market. The real estate market's not in a good place. So when we could have had another 200 people at that event easy. We just were at room capacity for fire code. So people were kind of shocked that we were having an event at capacity. There's a bunch of events in Toronto and Vancouver that we know of that canceled. One just yesterday got canceled. Postponed, I guess is the right word. So people were shocked. But I think, anyway, I don't even know why I'm bringing that up. It's just, that's the state of the real estate world. But our event's a little weird because we're really about living your life on your terms. And it was like all about real estate. And now it's more and more about, like Bitcoin was 5% of the discussion. Then Bitcoin became 10, then it became 40. Now at this last event, it was 50. We got some feedback from the event, actually. It was interesting. Some people just loved it. They're like, hey, thank you for talking about this stuff and making me think new. I really appreciate, think new in different ways. Some people just can't adapt. They're like, hey, I don't understand why you're talking about this Bitcoin stuff. Can you stop talking about the Bitcoin stuff? I really don't like it. I'm here for the real estate stuff. And I think, and I told them, I said, for me to be in my own integrity, I can't. If anything, I'm going to talk about Bitcoin more and more and more. And you can judge me as to why I'm doing that. If you think I'm profiting from that, try to look where these incentives are. You try to figure it out. But why would Nick and I build a business to come up and talk about Bitcoin if we didn't think it had huge value in our own lives and then to risk our business, quote unquote risk. You and I know it's not a risk, but to risk the business talking about this stuff, you decide where you think our heart is coming from. And the guy was just so confused. And we had a couple sponsors say that to us and stuff. But we don't. By the way, we don't care, Len. We're going to do what we're going to do.
No, of course. Yeah. And that's the way you should do it. Your life, your terms.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Do it the way you want to do. But I'm kind of shocked because people that are going to these events, people are in those events, they understand hard assets, they understand hard money, and just the crossing that bridge, it's not
people
that
still
big.
think it's people still think Bitcoin is so, like, I can't tell you, when someone asks me about it now, like the people that I know, friends that are in traditional finance, Len, they still think it's, I can't believe I'm saying this, it's 2025. They still think it's risky. They still think it's too unproven to talk about with their clients. Some of them have different professional designations, which they tell me they're at a threat by those designations, so they cannot speak about Bitcoin. The conversation about Bitcoin is still so early. Like, it's so ridiculously early. People don't understand money. Like, when I tell some of these guys, I'm like, I can't talk to you about Bitcoin unless I understand how you define money. So you please tell me how you define money today in 2025 in your world context. And after I hear your definition of money, I'll then be able to talk to Bitcoin about with you, because I'll understand kind of in what context to come at it from. They can't even define money.
Hey everyone, before we dive back into the podcast, I've got a quick shout out about the Your Life, Your Terms report. This is Tom's weekly newsletter where he and Nick share real stories, experiences, and powerful insights to help you live life on your terms. Each week, Tom breaks down the economy, real estate, macro trends, and Bitcoin, and gives you actionable steps to make these insights work for you. No fluff, no vague predictions, just a clear path to thriving no matter what's going on in the world. Tens of thousands of Canadians are already getting the real information they need to level up their lives every week. I can honestly say it's the only newsletter that I've stayed subscribed to for years. It delivers real value that keeps me coming back for more. Join us and start getting the insights and tools to create the life you want, plus entertaining and inspiring stories from Tom and Nick along the way. Sign up for free at rockstarinnercircle.com/get started and start living life on your terms. That's rockstarinnercircle.com/get started. Your first step to living life on your terms.
You have people in the financial world who have no real definition of what money is. Think about that. So then they have no definition of what money is, and in their mind, they know it's the Canadian dollar. To them, it's the Canadian dollar. So they don't even have like arguments against Bitcoin because they don't even know what money is. So they just have this like nebulous, vague, gray, Bitcoin is something I can't talk about. It's crazy.
You should ask them, the follow-up question is, what do you think is Bitcoin, or what do you know of Bitcoin? Because then they could tell you their understanding of it, then you could kind of fill in the gap.
Sure.
It would probably be a huge gap.
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't ask because I just assume it's like zero understanding.
No, some may have zero, or some may have a preconceived notion, and then you're going to have to go in there and correct them and guide them in the right path.
Yeah.
Or maybe they have just a little bit of knowledge and there's so much missing that you're going to have to fill in that. But it's a good question to ask people, especially that.
I'm kind of getting tired of it, honestly, but yes.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, I'm kind of going to the have fun staying poor mode.
Right? See, there's an evolution here.
There is really an evolution. Your first few years, you want to teach the world.
Yeah.
And then I'm 5 years in now, and it's like,
exactly.
You know that Michael Saylor clip where you see him always taking it? You totally understand where he's coming from with your own friends. You're like, oh.
But you know the reality, if somebody comes to me and wants to learn about it, I have an infinite amount of time.
Agreed.
For that person or people, what like I don't give a shit about that.
Agreed.
But if in terms of converting, I don't give a shit about that.
Don't give a shit.
If you don't,
we did a private one-on-one for an hour for a young guy who legitimately asked. He's in the mortgage world, heavy in the real estate world. Finally asked, hey, I need to understand, like, why are you guys so into this? And we're like, hey, come in. And we sat with him for an hour, went through all the details, showed him a bunch of stuff. You're right. If they're interested, we'll totally do it.
Yeah.
We do a class now. Like, we have 20 real estate classes here at Rockstar about joint ventures, student rentals, apartment building, severing lots, doing legal second suites, property management, the Ontario Tenancy Act by a paralegal. And now we have a Bitcoin class. And the Bull Bitcoin guys were teaching it. Now we've taken that on in-house. Aiden, my son, and Anthony teach that class.
He was just talking.
Oh, was he? Yeah. We teach a class, and at the end we introduce Bull Bitcoin. We talk about you guys. Never fucking good. You know what I mean? But we just throw you guys under the bus a little bit.
Of course.
And then
it's all truth, right?
and then
we can swear you. What the fuck? You're trying to be fucking clean.
and then we offer them, like, hey, if you want help, Aiden and Anthony are both with Bitcoin Mentor. I don't know if you know that.
Oh, I didn't know that they're part of the team.
They are. And that kind of came because we were starting to help so many Rockstar clients that we said, why don't we just get certified under Ben, BTC Sessions company, Bitcoin Mentor. And Mike Cook was gracious enough to like take these guys in. They passed their tests. And so now they're like Bitcoin mentors that we have in house here that anyone can book. So it works out. It works out.
Mike, yeah. I gotta still book him.
I never asked before we got going. Am I too loud in your ear here?
No, it's perfect.
Yeah. Who do you have to talk to? Mike Cook?
I have his contact. I still have to send him information. Email.
He's going to be in Vegas. See, another reason for you to come. Actually, we're going to hook up and have a meal in Vegas.
How come you're not going to? I'm going to be there. How come? No,
you're not going to be there. You're not going to. Vegas. You don't have to tell me. You don't have to tell me anything.
Think of all the.
What's the first Bitcoin conference you're ever going to go to? You didn't go to Montreal.
I went to the one in Toronto.
Yeah, that's right.
So I was there.
Close. Okay. Are you ever going to go to another one? What about learning Bitcoin? Vancouver.
No. They invited us. No.
I'm going. I'm going to represent you. You know what? Get me a Canadian Bitcoiners jersey, t-shirt. I'm going to wear it at Learning Bitcoin.
I'll see if I could. You don't have any? You don't.
I have the black one with the big logo on the back.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll wear that one. Sure.
I don't know what else we have. I think that's basically it.
I've seen a white one. I saw a white one early on in Miami, and it said the Canadian Bitcoiners small print, like right here.
Oh, you know what? That's
a classy one.
That's a classic. So
it was classy.
So I created that one. The logo was created by Joey's wife, so I have no credit for that. But that run of shirts was maybe 20 shirts I made, and it just basically had a logo, and in the back it had the No Coiner Hall of Fame, and it lists a bunch of people.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, so Elizabeth.
So Peter
Warren,
Schiff was on there.
Peter, maybe, but I know
who's on the No Coiner Hall of Fame now. Elizabeth Warren, Peter Schiff. No, but he has some Bitcoin now because I think he has an address and people send it to him.
For a long time he's had one for his Shift for Gold or whatever.
Yeah.
That's website. Mm-hmm. So Elizabeth Warren was certainly, it's been a while since Augustin Carstens or whatever, the guy from
don't know him. Gold guy, I guess.
He's the
the Mexican.
Yes.
Yeah.
You see a picture, you won't forget that guy.
The big guy.
Yeah. So he's a big bone.
Okay, yeah. Christine Lagarde, yeah.
Lagarde was on it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Was she? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
How could she is convicted of a crime?
Well, all the central bankers are criminals.
No.
Listen, I'm not saying that they've committed a crime against some law in the country they live in. I mean, they print money out of thin air, which is a criminal activity. I work for money. I exchange my time and labor. They get to go to a keyboard and go boom, 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 and money comes out the other side of the keyboard. So that to me is stealing purchasing power from my family, 100%. My relatives, from my good friend Len, from everybody.
So could a central bank exist without the government that it serves? Like, I'll give you an example. Could the Bank of Canada exist without the government of Canada?
I haven't thought this through.
But could the government of Canada exist without the...
Of course it could.
So
why if you and I conquered a nation, would we, and we had the treasury of the nation, we would then say, hey, Len, good job. We suffered for 10 years. We battled hard. We won this war. We conquered this great nation. Now, you know what, Len? I got this idea. The whole treasury part.
It's hard.
Let's just outsource that. Let's give control of the treasury. Like, we fought for this country for 10 years. Let's just outsource the treasury component to these third-party cartel of bankers around the world.
That sounds like a good idea.
It's such a scam.
No, but if you think about that, in that regard, so if the central bank only exists if the government allows it, then it's kind of a department, an agency. Yeah. It's a subservient of that. So, like, without the government, the central bank
doesn't work.
So the government is allowing the central bank to do its central bank things.
Yeah, but in a weird way, the central bank funds the government. So it's kind of like...
But who's at fault here? Without
the government. The government.
So they're the ones.
But I think now they're too far deep. Now the central bank controls the government. You want some money? You got to come to the central bank.
They have never said no. In 2020, when the governments all
They're
around
independent and neutral. Len, I'm very disappointed that I can't believe you think that way. I can't believe you. Okay, the central bank is independent.
No,
they are neutral.
On paper, but when the government ran out of buyers for those bonds, the buyer of last resort stepped up to the plate and said, "Bring them all on. I'll buy them all." Mm-hmm. So
it's great,
right? So there you go.
Okay, so what's your take on this? Because a lot of people, especially I think younger people, so people like your friend Joey's age, they think the real estate, and I'm not saying Joey thinks this at all, but the real estate market's going to crash and tumble. And I'm like, yeah, I have no problem with real estate prices coming down. They absolutely should. However, the banks in this country, the commercial banks, real estate is a huge part of the collateral that they use for all of their loans and all of their financing, all the credit lines, everything people borrow against real estate use. So you're telling me you think the Canadian banking industry is going to allow, and again, remember, I have no problem with real estate prices coming down. I think they're way too high. But you think the Canadian banking cartel is going to allow real estate prices to come down in this country? Maybe for a short time, 10, 15, maybe 20%, but 50%? I just can't see. I can't see it.
I agree.
I think they just juice the market.
I agree.
There's going to be sectors like the Toronto condo market is in for another 2 years, still probably of major pain with the amount of new product that still has to be finished.
Okay.
Coming on. That part's, so there's going to be different pockets of pain for sure. But overall, they just don't let this market crumble.
So the problem exists for you identified younger folks out there. So somebody that just graduates from school or even a few years out of graduating from school, they have zero hope in heck for buying a house or any sort of home. They have zero. That's it. Yeah. So how do you fix that? So then either the prices have to come down.
Well, you can't fix it.
Or you build, but you can't build enough.
Yeah.
So these people are just eternally screwed. Right?
Correct. Yeah. It's awful. So it's horrible. Then you have to fix the money. Without fixing the money, you can't fix the problem.
Well, you can fix the money here. I still think the value of the home will always remain high because the demand is high. People want.
Okay, but that's sure. But an economic issue of supply and demand being offside is at least a solvable problem. But when you mix in supply and demand being offside and M2 growing just at whatever pace you want. Like how much money did they print in 2020? Like they increased M2 by like 35% overnight or whatever.
Incredible. And the US dollar in existence for like
over 100. And they just increase. So like when you mix those two together, but if we have a sound money that you can't mess with, then the supply demand issue we can at least tackle. We can look at the amount of population growth. Yeah. We can look at the amount of people we have to incentivize to get into the trades, and we can really try to solve the problem. But when you try to solve the problem and while we're trying to build more houses to offer more supply, you're printing money like crazy, devaluing the dollars that you buy the homes 100%. With. It just doesn't work.
100%. And even if you fix the money problem and you try to deal with the supply issue, this is not an overnight solution.
It's not overnight.
It's going to
years.
Correct. So you have now a generation of folks that are, if they ever wanted to become homeowners, my apologies, you are not going to be, at least here. You got to look elsewhere, maybe Northern Ontario, and maybe outside Canada.
And I guess this isn't just young people. This is maybe the opposite. This may be older people with some money. So maybe this is not the people that we want leaving. But I just got off the phone with a realtor in Collingwood because I was looking at some houses up there. Surprisingly, some of those vacation homes are selling. I thought they would be sitting longer, but there is a lot for sale. And we went into a couple of them just to look over the long weekend. And one of the guys calls me for feedback. And I said, oh, we were really just casually looking. We're not interested. So don't consider me a potential buyer or offer at all. And he said, okay, that's unfortunate because my seller is pretty motivated. I'm like, well, why is he motivated? And he said, well, he's leaving the country.
Okay, that's it. This has been
I just had this phone call 3 hours ago.
Yes, and I call it Operation GTFO. And I've talked about this. I've been focused on this for a long time. This fucking GTFO thing.
What GTFO? Get the fuck out? Is that what it is?
Yeah. Yeah. There's enough that happened that
that's what he said. So he said this guy after the election had enough. He's gone.
Well before
he's already gone. By the way, he's gone already.
Bravo.
The house has stuff in it, furniture and stuff, but you can tell most of the clothes, like the guy's left the country. Yeah. Yeah. Crazy, right? It's happening.
Well, Did
you see somebody tweet out that 3,200 millionaires left Canada in the last year? I don't know where they're getting that stat. Like, I don't understand where the source of that data comes from.
This movement is growing.
Of
we
course.
we have a thriving.
We're in early Venezuela.
We're
early days Venezuela.
We have our thriving Discord, a Canadian Bitcoiners Discord on there, and we chat.
Oh, do you?
Oh yeah,
It's open to everybody?
Anybody could come on. Yeah,
Really?
Yeah,
Do you guys have that?
We sure do. So it's I think we have 250 plus members.
Do you?
Yeah.
What, you guys approve every member? Is that how you join? No. Anybody can join.
Anybody.
You go on Discord and you search it up and you can find you guys.
Yeah, there's a link on our website, CanadianBitcoiners.com, and from there you could click on the link. So on there I made like a little sub thread or channel or whatever the fuck you call it for Operation GTFO. And because somebody demanded it, because I talked about it on a show, it's like there's enough people on there chatting about.
I'll tell you another stat. One of our lawyers came in the other day. We were having this conversation. Get this, we're having this exact conversation at our sales team meeting that we have every Monday. The conversation spontaneously came up about who's leaving the country, how are you leaving, where are you going. Our lawyer walks in, the real estate lawyer, overhears the conversation. None of this was planned. He walks in, he was going to talk to us about some other stuff. And he goes, you're not going to believe it. 1 out of every 5 clients I'm dealing with now is talking about leaving the country. 1 out of 5.
This is growing.
1 out of 5.
I love to hear this. No, it's true. Because it's not just
1 out of 5 is huge.
It is. And these are people of means. These are people that have.
Yeah.
And so this just reinforces my thinking. This is like, it was been driving me insane for some time, this thing, because I just been solely focused on this. And yeah, like I'm part of.
Well, we had that. What's her name? Katie, the Russian, maybe from Citizen X, that gives it helps people get other
That's
passports.
That's a scam, by the way. Don't want to.
Really? She was just on the podcast, so thanks for sharing. Anthony just had the podcast because you can do it yourself. Is that why you're saying that? Okay.
Do stuff yourself.
Okay. Some people that have some means are don't have the time, so they want to pay people for that kind of service.
There's not a lot of time. You just got to read. You got to read, get the documentation, get the stuff translated.
My point is, Len, that multiple people reached out to her after the podcast that went out. And it kind of surprised me when she emailed back in to Anthony saying how many people reached out.
Are you a multiple passport holder? And I don't want to get into.
Yeah, I have multiple. I have multiple citizenships.
Beautiful. So you have.
I have 3.
I know which ones they are. Have you ever thought of? It's easy to determine. Have you ever thought about a one-time saying goodbye?
Yeah.
Like how much?
How could you not?
How much?
I'm a business owner. So listen, as a business owner, and I'm allocating capital. So when I look around, so as our business has excess cash flows, you get to save. Okay. We couldn't do this, by the way, for the first 10 years of going in business because there was no excess cash flows. But when you're in business for long enough, if you can do it, you can have some savings. That builds up as capital. Then when you have that capital, in capitalism, you look to allocate that capital. That's how capitalism works. When you look around a nation state and don't like what you see, as a capital allocator like myself, why would I allocate more capital in this country?
Very true.
And I'm not saying I'm a huge capital allocator, but I mean, you're allocating capital. So then my point goes, any business owner in the country, if you're looking around, and all the people voting for who they're voting for in this country, if you're looking at the people who are creating jobs and allocating capital, you have to understand that the way they're looking at the landscape is not really in a very positive light. You don't know the tax. Is the carbon tax here? Is it gone? Is it on pause? What's coming next? Is there a wealth tax coming? Is there an unrealized capital gains tax coming? Nobody knows. Everybody thinks it's not a 0% probability of any of these things. So what do you do here? What are interest rates going to be next year?
T-Mobile.
What are interest rates? Exactly.
So in 10 years' time, give me a likelihood, percentage-wise, and I'm not going to hold you to this, that you're going to still be here.
Okay.
5%, 50%?
I think the way, because in my kind of friend group and stuff, we're talking about this like almost daily at this point.
Jesus Christ.
And I think you're at the point now that the West there's no good place. So you have to get yourself to a financial spot where you can float. And what I mean by that is that Nick and I have a place in Croatia.
The old country is really good.
I like going down to Florida in the middle of winter because it's sunny down there. I'm not familiar with Costa Rica, but maybe we explore that area out. I think you have to try, and it's difficult. I'm not saying this is easy, to get yourself in a financial position where you can float around the world a little bit and pop in and out of places. Because I don't really see a place right now where you can plant your flag.
There is no one place, in my eyes, for me at least, that checks every box.
No.
Everyone.
Last year I was in Dubai. Dubai is actually really interesting.
But it's very expensive, right?
Yeah. There's, and if you have family in Canada, I have roots. I have roots here.
Yeah.
It's difficult. I know Len.
Yeah.
I have friends here.
Yes,
I have
yeah.
family here. So it's tough to just say wave goodbye completely.
Maybe we will see each other in some foreign land.
You're not going to get rid of me. I'm going to track you down wherever you go.
I'll tell you where I go. No
Yeah,
problem.
where are you going to go?
I'm going to Italy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know someone who bought in the south of Italy a place inland for like $15,000.
It's in the south is
I'm going to Italy this summer.
whereabouts?
Puglia.
Okay.
Where do you have family there still?
Very close to Puglia. So,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Abruzzo.
No,
Oh,
Basilicata, which is nearby.
Okay.
Potenza, if you want to.
Okay.
So it's between.
and do you ever go there?
And I haven't been in years,
man.
but if I
Italy's.
I say this, and I if ever I go back, like the next time I go back, I stay. But I was supposed to go this year.
You speak Italian?
Some.
You don't need to.
No, you do. It depends where you go.
Well, sure, it's better. Don't start giving me. You don't give me your Italian hand motions at this
Sorry.
table, okay?
So yeah, so my dad came here in 1967, right? And he lived in Rome for a period of time, and he loved it there. You know, and he came, and he even said like he wanted to go back.
Sure.
Like it's a beautiful city. It's a very touristy city. It's a lot of garbage over there, but everywhere has garbage. But
Yeah, no, I love. Rome is amazing. Yeah.
it's the eternal city, right? Like it's you go there, you could spend a lifetime just.
You could just learn about the aqueducts. Would take you 5 years just looking at how the Romans got the water into the city.
You know the beautiful.
They got water into that city from kilometers away with no pumps. Can you think about that?
Yes, and they measured.
It's insane. It's absolutely insane.
Kilometer.
How many millimeters they
Yeah.
had to change the grade to get the water to flow.
They were. So you've been to Pompeii. You've been to like.
I've been past Pompeii, but no, I've been to the Amalfi Coast. Yes, I've been to Portofino. I've been to Venice, Bologna,
See,
Florence,
when I go back to Pompeii, because
Pisa.
Pompeii and Herculaneum are the two like best preserved. Herculaneum probably even more best preserved areas, cities of Roman, and you can see like 2, 3, 4-story buildings, and they did it without
Crazy.
heavy machinery. They did it with like it was incredible how they've done this. Central heating
Yeah.
before central heating
know.
even existed, right? Like
How does that all disappear? I guess like I almost feel like we're going through that now in the world. It's like civilization reaches almost like a peak. And then some parts of that civilization just seem to die off. Like I think of my brother-in-law is Italian. His father passed away a few years ago, and he could mix cement in Toronto for one of the big cement companies in a certain way. And I don't know if it was temperature related or smoothness with no bubbles on a fine pour or whatever it was. But when he passed away, like they lost that. Like he was the guy they called in for that.
Yeah.
And then it's gone.
yeah, my dad did plaster.
Okay.
And how many people do you know that could do plaster?
Nobody anymore.
Exactly.
Nobody.
That's that.
Yeah. You
artist-
see a plaster wall, you're screwed if you need to repair it.
Yeah, but he would do it. Like he was
That's a lost art.
yeah. He's stucco. He did stucco. Like how many
Wow.
people could do?
Yeah.
Like, a lot, I guess a lot now, but like that shit's gone, right? And so you're right. He lost that. Roman Empire fell. Let's say 400 AD. Like we're not talking about the West, Eastern Roman Empire. The Western fell at 400, and that was it. And all sewage was gone. Like it took us.
So where are we headed? So now with AI, like what are you talking? Because now it's like there's this whole other thing coming out, and I don't know how much you're playing around. Like the marketing team uses it in here more and more, and like it's starting to get freaky, Len, on how much you can do with it and how it talks back to you and how it offers solutions to you. It does feel like there is like this other shift happening in civilization where some of our it almost feels like some of our consciousness as a human race is now going into the digital world and some of these AI things. Have you monkeyed or are you playing with AI right now?
I have, I've used
Okay.
our whole show is 100% AI. Just kidding, no.
I knew you were a simulation.
I'm all fake. No, I've tried.
Yeah.
There's a
So what do
question-
you like? What? Yeah. Are you're preparing your family for like? What are you thinking? Where does this go?
I don't know where it goes
Nobody
because you
does.
hear like there was a story on X today. Some software engineer said he lost his $150,000 job due to AI. Now this doesn't give a lot of context to the story, so I really don't know what the heck's going on. But he's saying he lost his job. He's even trying to apply to DoorDash, and he can't even get to become a DoorDash driver. So it's trying to show off how bad the economy is. But like there are people out there that are being impacted by this, and it's going to be worse moving forward. It's going to impact how people's jobs are being done. Coding.
What happens in 5 years when you're walking down the street and you see a Tesla robot walking somebody's dog past you? Are you going to clothesline it?
Why would I?
So I mean, that's going to freak you out, though. No, like I think in 5 years you're going to be walking down your street and a robot's going to be walking somebody's dog.
Do you have FSD in your car?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just got the latest update. Do you know how crazy it is?
So
So the last full self-driving on the Tesla, that's what Len's talking about right now. When I put it into full self-driving, it would take me completely to the address through, stop signs, lights, left turns, right turns, pedestrian crossings. It can handle absolutely everything. Parking lots, no issues. But every few seconds, maybe it depends how fast you were going, between 30 seconds and maybe a minute or whatever, you would have to touch the steering wheel.
even on FSD?
Yeah. But on the last update, they got rid of it.
Okay.
So now I just went to Milton yesterday. So
We're not talking autopilot. We're talking because there's a difference between the two.
Yeah,
right?
full self-drive.
Yeah.
Full self-drive. You still had to touch a steering wheel till recently. I went to Milton. It was a 35-minute drive. I did not touch the steering wheel at all.
So were you freaked out by that?
I started to daydream.
So
In the car, I started to daydream. You get so, because before I had to touch the steering wheel every once in a while. So you're kind of there. You're paying attention, but now I just started to completely daydream.
Yeah. So
and today I had it on. I didn't turn the windshield wipers on because it was raining.
Yeah.
But I'm in full self drive. I'm like, do I even need to run the windshield? So I'm like, how far can I go? So I didn't even turn them on, which is, I know that's maybe just ridiculous and dangerous. I'm not sure. But it's wild.
Yeah.
So
why would I get
the robot just drives me to where I want to go now.
And it doesn't freak you out. It's part of. So why would I freak out about some Tesla?
Well, I don't
dog out
know.
there?
You're an Italian guy in the basement who doesn't want to change his scenery. I didn't know if your robots was going to piss you off.
I'm progressive. I have a node that runs beside me. It's not like Commodore 64. Okay. It's actually it's a legitimate computer. So when you're talking about this, whatever, it's progressive. Mm-hmm. And even with Tesla, going off in a tangent here, I don't know who it was, but one of the head honchos on the Tesla AI side of things, they were saying that their full self-drive is a couple of years behind Google's Waymo, if you're familiar.
Really? Yeah.
So how advanced is, and you're talking...
The Tesla one's super advanced. I don't know what they're behind on.
And the other ones...
I don't even know what could be better at this point. The parking maybe at the end a little bit different, maybe?
They have areas in the United States that they are able to operate.
Do autonomous?
And it's totally...
In Austin, they're doing that next month.
For the
autonomous vehicles in Austin, Texas.
Oh, so just not
no
Tesla.
Humans in the car.
So that's where Waymo is probably going to go. But Waymo, because
this is Tesla releasing this, so yeah, maybe Waymo's already there. I don't know, because
Waymo uses like LiDAR and shit like that. It's not just strictly the cameras. It uses a little bit more. It's very expensive, but it's when you call a taxi in those areas, a driverless car shows up. You get in, there's nobody to chat with at the front. And the people that try it the first time, they're like, this is strange. But after 2, 3, 4 times, it becomes regular.
So then are you in the camp that productivity is going to be a negative drag on GDP?
I don't know. I have not thought about this enough.
I totally am. Like, how does productivity, that's Jeff Booth's thesis, that the productivity increases so fast that there's not enough demand for all the outputs of things that are created, so that it's a drag. It's actually it's a negative on GDP. It's a positive to your ability. If you have something like a hard money like Bitcoin, your purchasing power goes up because there's a finite amount of Bitcoin and there's more and more things in the world. So your purchasing power is going to go up. But on the GDP number that has to go up in a debt-based money system, it's a real problem, because GDP, the main influencers of GDP are population growth, productivity, and capital or debt. So now if you don't have the population really growing, how many people do you know having 6 kids at this point? The population's not really growing. Productivity is a drag. The only thing you have to do left to juice the GDP is more and more debt. So the amount of inflation coming our way seems to be...
All roads lead to Bitcoin.
They all lead to Bitcoin.
Yeah. So it's with respect to population, you're right. Like a lot of people out there, they're not having...
In the Western world, they're not.
Yeah.
Every country.
Right.
I saw some stat, Italy's not in good shape at all. But there's some stat, I don't know if it's about Ireland or something. There's one stat on one of the countries kind of in Western Europe. Like it's 2 generations the country's... Sorry, it wasn't Europe. I think it's South Korea. It's so bad that like the South Korean population in 2 generations like almost vanishes. I was just reading this. I wish I could remember the details of it. It was astonishing. I think it was South Korea. So it's crazy.
I think based on our vintage, I don't think we're going to see that collapse. Maybe our kids may see it unless things change. So selfishly, I see it and there's nothing I can do and I can just write it out. But unselfishly, I have to see what I can do to help fix it for my daughter.
I was going to talk to you about quantum physics and consciousness and stuff, but I'm going to leave that for a second. The Canadian Bitcoiners podcast right now. What are you guys like? What's been the latest topics that get you guys going? Like, what are you guys like?
Opportune was a big one.
Oh yeah. So what's the latest on that? Like, where are we at? Are you going to run one of those knots nodes, or like, tell me what I need to know here?
So yeah, the Opportune was they were going to be removing it, so allowing for more arbitrary data to be put in blocks, which could be more spam. That's what people are pissed off with. It's
Yeah, where did you stand on that?
I don't want more spam.
Okay.
But it's the way they did it was.
So is it paused now? Is that thing stopped or what?
Yeah, so the core group of folks, they decided we're not going to go ahead and remove this. And so like that discussion seemed to have done it on the Vine, which is good. But what I don't like is the fact that they were going to go ahead with this, even though that this is a decentralized community where ideas should be brought up, hashed out, talked about, and then maybe if you want to make a change, it could be done over a long period of time. If you want to do a change to Bitcoin, who knows what are the long-term...
Yeah. What's the second order effect of every change?
Yeah. And we don't have a lot... We have a lot of things against us. A lot of people hate Bitcoin. A lot of people don't want to see Bitcoin succeed. So why set up a potential trap? We maybe only have one shot at this to make this work. We can't trip and fall.
Agreed.
So let's do this right. So that's why I didn't like that.
So what were you going to do? Were you going to run that other version of
Knots?
Bitcoin Core? Yeah.
Potentially.
Isn't that like, are we not forking at that point? Like Knots seems like, okay, I'm uneducated in this because Knots seems like it was created by just that one developer guy.
Yeah, so he forked it.
Yeah.
And so
so that's what I'm saying. You just
anybody could, he's forked not Bitcoin itself, he forked the code for Bitcoin Core. Anybody could fork it. And in fact, I was going to fork Bitcoin Core and put back the Opportune that they took in and just offer it to anybody. Here you go. So here you can still run Bitcoin Core, but here's the using the 83 limits of Opportune. But they decided cooler heads prevailed. They not going to go ahead with this, which is good. So Luke is the one that's managing that fork of.
So you can have multiple versions of Bitcoin Core running with different functionality, but it's not a complete fork of Bitcoin?
Correct. It's still within consensus of Bitcoin. There's no...
What defines then that consensus of Bitcoin?
So
how far outside of the core do you have to go before it's not consensus?
Size of a block would be an easy one.
What defines that? The amount of people running the version of Bitcoin that has the different block size in it? Do you know what I mean? Like if enough people ran Knots, if 90% of all Bitcoin node operators running Knots, have we not forked from Bitcoin Core to Knots?
That's not a fork. It's just people are choosing to run Bitcoin Knots as a client of Bitcoin. And all it is just validating transactions. That's all a node does. It validates.
No, I get that.
So you're using a different software to validate transactions. And it could slightly change it. Slightly.
Okay, but when the big block stuff was happening, if enough people ran a version of Bitcoin, if enough nodes ran the version of Bitcoin Core that had the bigger block size in it, you forked Bitcoin.
They did fork as soon as there was a bigger block.
Yeah,
there's a chain split at that point. So because then the smaller blocks,
but some people were running nodes that allowed that bigger block size.
Right. And that was a fork.
That's what I'm saying. So a different version of Bitcoin Core is forking.
No, it's not. Then you have miners that are going to mine as per those new instructions. And they're going to build blocks as to those. So
so an actual fork is a combination of node operators and miners together agreeing?
That's why you get a successful fork.
That's why when the Bitcoin Core upgrades, everyone's looking to see if the miners are running the new version of whatever.
You could even run it's backwards compatible, so you can run an older version. And I guess
I need to know what defines a fork.
There's the change in the protocol. And changing a protocol, changing the amount of time required to do.
Okay. So these other variables or other parameters are not a change in the protocol.
Correct.
Who defines what parameters are a change in the protocol?
The ones I'm mentioning, that they fundamentally change what is Bitcoin. So my node, if somebody comes out there and changes the software and say instead of every 10 minutes, a block is going to happen, it's going to be every 5 minutes.
Okay.
My node is going to reject that because it only takes.
Yeah, got it. But this Opportune thing,
it's not enough to say it's going to reject it. It's still consensus. They're still using the block size that is.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
21 million. It's not. There's not creating more Bitcoin.
Yeah, I need to know more. Okay, there's stuff for me to learn.
There's a lot to learn, but you know what? Just run a node.
Yeah, I'm
be
good.
happy.
Yeah,
That's all that counts.
Yeah, I'm
if you
excited
run
to get my next node going.
and you should, because this is.
I've been running a node for 5 years.
And I love that you are doing that. That is the only way you could guarantee.
And I put that one together myself. Like I bought the
it's
parts.
a Raspberry Pi of the.
Yeah.
So running a node is the only way you could guarantee you have Bitcoin. You have no other way. Like if I send you Bitcoin without.
So for someone listening to that, explain for someone who doesn't understand why you're saying what you're saying.
So when I send you Bitcoin, in order for you to validate, you have the Bitcoin that I sent you. You have to verify it against a
Set
database.
of parameters.
Well, a database, which your node has the whole Bitcoin.
ledger.
Yeah, and it could say, oh, look, it's in this particular location. Yeah, I do have it. Without that information, you have to rely on somebody else to tell you have it.
And they could be lying.
So when you're talking about money, when you're talking about
So when you run Sparrow, you're connecting always to your node.
yeah, and a good way to run Sparrow
Yeah.
is on a dedicated computer that is generally not hooked up to the internet. You just
Sure.
turn it on as needed,
Yeah.
and then do whatever updates, then hook up to your node, do the transaction, and then turn it off again. And
Clean.
yeah, you're always trying to minimize the amount of risk you have. So and then your node will always be running on dedicated hardware. You don't have it. So like this node
Sure.
itself, it doesn't have anything else. It just it's running just a node. I'm guessing it's Raspberry Blitz. I'm guessing
It is.
Yeah. So there you go. So like that's just it doesn't have anything else on.
Now I'm going to mess around with my Start 9.
And that's going to be just a Linux operating system that
Yep.
has So that's the way to do things. Yeah. So dedicated node, dedicated Sparrow, and then the rest of the computer.
It does feel very freeing, man. I'm not going to lie.
You know, the more I got into this, it's like people say Bitcoin is hard, but if you think
The other
about
system is hard.
it is.
It is.
I can't wrap my head around it.
It's so hard.
There's derivatives and all this shit that comes.
Holy shit.
But Bitcoin is so fucking simple.
Your credit score? Holy shit. Just try to figure out your credit score.
You know what Bitcoin is? You have Bitcoin, you have Bitcoin. You don't have Bitcoin, you don't have Bitcoin. That's it. I send you Bitcoin, I have less in my
Nice way to
wallet.
live. What a nice way to live.
Yeah. I think at one time people lived like this for a majority. Like there may have been credit, but not to the same degree we have now. Imagine
Well, back in the day when people were using metals, it was final settlement. I know people could clip coins and stuff, but when I put a gold coin or a silver coin in your palm of your hand, part of the reason, the beauty of that was it was final settlement. Like I know it could be tungsten. Like I understand all the limitations of that. But if we take it for what it was in that moment, the beauty of it was I passed the coin to you. It was a physical ledger. It was like a physical representation of the ledger.
Yeah.
I had the coin. Now I put it in the palm of your hand.
Yeah.
You have the coin. That's the ledger transaction done in real time in a physical manner. Now it has limitations that Bitcoin is way better at.
I read that, you know, the like a quarter, for instance, and you feel like the outer edge of the quarter, it's got those little bumps in it. That was made for coin clipping.
Yeah, for sure.
To avoid.
Yeah.
So you know if it's been clipped.
Yeah.
If it's
People were
smooth.
clipping coins. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. All the ridges. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the technology improvement on money. And it's like money always had a technology improvement. And as funny as it sounds, those little ridges were the improvement, because then if someone tried to clip it, you would see the smooth part of the clipping and you'd understand that it was clipped. It's crazy.
So like when I think about Bitcoin and people saying it's hard to use, the UX may suck. The user experience
It's
may.
getting pretty good.
It's always improving.
Have you used the Aqua wallet?
I'm not going to touch that.
Why do you hate it? Why do you hate the things that I like? I know you're a real Bitcoiner.
So, what do they have liquid on there, right?
Yeah. I don't use it, so you don't have to use it. You don't have to use it.
I want to minimize any exposure to anything.
Yeah, okay.
I want to just simply Bitcoin. That's
Okay,
it.
but there's a nice feature in it where, and I guess you're going to have to use Liquid to get over to Tether. But let's say you had to make some payments for something important to your family, for your daughter, let's say, and you had to take a certain amount of fiat that you're just like, hey, in the next 3 months, I can't ride a 70% downward trend on the Bitcoin price. Wouldn't it be nice to just flip it over to US dollar for those 3 months till you had to make that payment?
So
Could be nice.
Why not just go to Bull Bitcoin, exchange your Bitcoin for
what? Go ahead.
For Canadian dollars, and exchange your Canadian dollars for USD.
Canadian dollars?
If you wanted to be
I'd rather have the best of the garbage. I'd rather have American dollars.
Well, Bull Bitcoin, I don't think they will allow you to go right to BTC to USD. My apologies, Bull Bitcoin.
No, I don't think they will
so
either.
you'd have to go from BTC to
that's why I'm saying the Aqua wallet has a little purpose there. That's all.
To what? To USDT?
Yes.
It's a shitcoin.
It is a shitcoin, but you're telling me about going to Canadian dollars.
But
it's also a shitcoin. It's a worse shitcoin.
It is, but I could go to USD, which is at least I don't have to deal with another layer.
But you can't know
of
to the
shitting.
USC. Have you tried to get a US dollar bank account in Canada? It's really difficult.
My wife has.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, let me hear this. Yes, go ahead.
So yeah,
It's hard.
Is it?
Yes.
I won't go any further. I'll leave it.
It's hard.
The connections are good to have.
You can't, and then sometimes you can get a US dollar bank account, but you can't get the US dollar. We have a euro.
I got euros. Just like not too long ago.
We have a euro bank account. This is exactly what I'm talking about. We have a euro bank account. We can't get euros out of it. We have a euro bank account in digital name only. Like the digits on the screen are euro. But if we ask and say, can we take out euros from the euro bank account that we have here in Canada? You know what the answer is? No.
Well, when are you going to? Because I have euros at home I want to get rid of.
Yeah.
When you
give them to me. I'll give you one par.
Beautiful.
For par.
I like that.
I am. I'm going soon. I will buy some euros off.
Okay.
At an agreed upon exchange rate.
I like that. Because I have. Yeah. I just there's a story I can tell you another time about this.
There's another thing I have to make a note to ask you when we're not recording. So Opera Turn is something Canadian. What else are the Canadian Bitcoiners going off on?
Let's go back to this
Aqua Wallet.
Like this.
You hate it because of Liquid. Because Liquid is what? It's because Liquid's wrapping. Tell me why I should hate it.
So what do you think Liquid is?
I don't use it.
Okay, so Liquid is it's a coin.
It seems like some kind of side chain where you wrap whatever you want.
It's another
blockchain.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So
if I want to use it, I'm technically losing. It's like
you give your Bitcoin to them,
and you have to pray that you get it back.
Right.
I would never do that. I would just never do that.
But then the same happens with USDT. When you go there,
I agree. I'm just saying.
You're hoping that they blacklist your address.
I'm just saying, if you have an important expenditure for your family in the next 3 months and you're all in because you're a Bitcoin maxi,
convert to cash and go nuts.
Okay, well, we're going to have to disagree on some stuff. I just disagree. Okay, so go to TD Bank, convert to cash, and pray that TD Bank, when you need money, is going to get it out.
And that USDT.
I mean, it's the same risk as far as I'm concerned.
What are you going to do with that USDT?
It's the same risk.
Yeah, the USDT, what are you going to do with it? You're not going to go to a store. Hi, Starbucks. I got some USDT. No, you got to convert that shit somehow.
I'm going to convert it back to Bitcoin, send it to Bull Bitcoin, and get the Canadian dollars when I need it. But if I have to pay for something for my family that's very important, I'm all in on Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to sidestep some of the volatility. Not that I want to, but I might have to out of necessity.
Just change
so it's a place to hide out for 90 days. I'm talking about 90 days or less.
Yeah, exchange it to CAD, and if you got to exchange it to CAD to something else, go nuts.
You hate it that much. Wow.
Well, I want to minimize.
That's what I like about you. You're fucking very principled, and these are your principles.
Yeah, I don't want to deal with any shit coins. I want to deal with strictly Bitcoin.
Well, you're fucking dealing with CAD. You love CAD.
No,
you just said you were going to move to CAD.
If you're giving me a hypothetical, you're painting me into a corner, telling me you're going to be doing this, and then I do it. You're like, you're going to be doing it because you like to. No, Tom, you fucking told me I had to do this. I'm not.
So, what's your favorite wallet these days? What about Nunchuck? You like Nunchuck?
Nunchuck's okay.
Okay. Do you like Blue Wallet?
It's okay.
Oh, do you like any wallets?
I like Sparrow. Sparrow.
This is why you're the best, Len.
I like Sparrow.
Yeah, sure. Because you have like a Linux machine that you're running. Does Sparrow run on Linux?
Yeah, it runs on Linux. It runs on Mac OS.
Not everybody in the world has a Linux machine. But no, it runs Sparrow on.
It runs on Windows.
What's your favorite wallet for like a normal human?
Sparrow. Sparrow runs great on Windows. It runs fine on Mac OS.
It does. Windows. You run Windows?
I don't. I know people that do run Windows with Sparrow.
Okay.
And I've been to meetups. I've helped people hook up.
Yeah.
So it does work.
Okay. So no wallet on your phone?
No.
Okay. I like that. Okay. I can respect that. I respect that.
I have a wallet of Satoshi for just the smallest amounts, and then I could get.
Oh, so there is a wallet on your phone.
Yeah, it's a small, and I get that from the Zaps, and I got to change that, and I just move it to my Node.
I'm gonna zap you some after this. Thank you for coming on this podcast.
Are you on Nostr?
Yes, I don't really. I use Nostr right now as a read-only thing when I want to go look. There's like a few accounts I'll go and see what they're posting. So if I want to see what Jeff Booth's saying lately because he's not on Twitter, I'll go to Nostr and like search up Jeff Booth and see if he's posting anything. So I'm not really super engaged in it. Do you spend a lot of time on Nostr?
No, I spend more time.
I use Primal as my like client for it, and it's decent. Yeah. It's getting better.
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah,
2 years ago it didn't exist.
No, it's getting much better. I want to spend more time on it. The reason I want to spend more time on it is just I feel like you're just feeding the algorithm. Like you're like the enemy.
There is no algorithm.
Sorry?
There's no algorithm on Nostr.
No, I know. Sorry. I mean, on Twitter and these other places, there's these algorithms and they're just harvesting you. They're just harvesting you. It's brutal.
100%.
So like I want to use Nostr, but I'm just kind of caught like.
But you're forced to use something like Twitter or X because in order to have user engagement, and you run a business, right? You unfortunately
More and more, like I deleted my Facebook. The other day I almost deleted my LinkedIn. Like, why do I even have this anymore? I just want to.
I never had one. I'm
Good for you. Yeah. So the LinkedIn one, I think I didn't because I think I'm the admin for the Rockstar LinkedIn or something.
See, for business purposes, you have to get that.
I'm close to deleting it. I'm really close to deleting it.
Like you're going to be off all this shit.
Yes.
And you'll be in the fucking bush somewhere. And we won't even
When
know
you get to Europe, in Croatia, we're going to build block walls together. What I mean by this is in our area of Croatia, just like Italy.
I want to go by.
Walls everywhere. There's stone walls, and they're all in need of repair.
Yes.
And my dream is just for a few years to be with my family there. And every day I'm just going to go outside and I'm going to repair stone walls. And what this involves is picking up stones off the ground and putting them in the proper place on the stone wall and rebuilding these stone walls. You're outside in the sun. There's fig trees next to you. So when you're hungry, you could just go like this.
I have a fig tree at my house, by the way.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You eat the fig. You have the beautiful olive oil is close by. There's an olive mill close to us. You have nice wine. There's fish in the sea. There's great meat. And we just live this happy life. And all we do, you have to wear a straw hat. Well, I do. It's the Scottish in me. I have very pale skin. I can't handle it. I have to wear a straw hat. And we just rebuild stone walls. That's all we do. And we just talk about Bitcoin and we talk about consciousness, which we still haven't talked about.
So when is the deadline for when you're going to be there? Because let's see if our
I think it's like my kids are getting older. They're 19 and 23. So the door's opening for me now. I'm in the window. I'm entering the window, Len, where it could be at any moment. But I really think the solution is you have to float around because there's problems in Italy too.
Italy is brutal for a few things. The economy fucking sucks. It's an old population. A lot of people that are able to work, the young people, because it's easy to move around in Europe. If
they have family homes from generations ago, they don't really have a mortgage, so they have a place to live. So you don't need to work that much.
No, but you go somewhere else. If you're educated, you speak English well, why are you going to stay in Italy? You go to Germany. You go
Finland. I know Italians that moved to Finland. Yeah.
So you just don't. So that's their problem. So they have a population that is. Yeah. It's a terrible economy.
Yeah, Croatia's population is declining.
But you know what? I'm going to swallow the garbage that comes along with it.
Sure, same. There's enough positive that the garbage is manageable.
The gypsies are brutal over there. You get pickpocketed if you're a tourist.
Well, that's been like that that's just been normal.
Yeah. But this is the problem they have over there.
Sure.
And then if you go into South, if you go to Sicily, then you might have to deal with some people that may be unscrupulous or scrupulous, depending on.
Look at you, the mainland Italians just shitting on the Sicilians.
No, right? I'm not shitting. It's beautiful, beautiful.
I've been to Sicily.
But it's not Italy.
Beautiful.
Sicily is not.
Sicilians clearly told me it was not Italy.
Exactly.
They were not cheering for Italy in the World Cup the year I was there.
They are trying to build a bridge too, but this is they've been talking about this for quite some time, a bridge from Sicily to mainland Italy. And the government has talked about billions and billions of dollars on this fucking bridge.
Sounds very Italian.
It's going to do nothing.
Why are they going to build a bridge?
Because they want it.
Why are they going to build a bridge? Let Sicily be Sicily.
Yeah.
What's going to happen to Canada's GDP over the next 2 years? 4 years. This government, what happens to the GDP? Does our GDP go up, down?
GDP per capita.
Does it matter? Just whatever comes to mind when I say that to you.
I think GDP per capita is going to go up.
Okay.
Slightly.
That's good.
Which is incredible to say, but GDP probably is going to go down. So it's going to be the reverse of what we're having right now.
So we're just going to have less people in here so we can have GDP per capita go up.
I think GDP is going to flatline or go down slightly. So technically we'll be in a recession because we'll have a couple or longer quarters of negative GDP. But because we're not going to be importing as many people, at least on paper they're saying that. I don't know if it's reality. And some people are going to be forcefully or willingly leaving the country. So you're going to have GDP per capita probably going up plus because you have the Canadian dollar that's getting wrecked in the process.
That's a positive answer from Len.
No, it doesn't.
Same shit. Okay.
I mean, GDP per capita.
What about inflation rate in Canada next 1 year or 4 years? You pick it. I don't know.
I think it's going to go high. I think it's going to go really. I suspect that there's going to be a problem that they're going to have to print, and so it's going to kill the Canadian dollar. Right?
How sad is that we suspect there's going to be a problem they have to print, and it seems so. And we're just both nodding. Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. So can you see like mortgage rates right now? You see this. Mortgage rates are hovering at the 5-year. When somebody's trying to get it. It's like 3.94%.
3.99, yeah.
And it's slowly creeping up.
Yeah. Well, their mortgage rates are set in two different ways. The bond market and the variable rates are completely two separate things. So yes, in the fixed rate bond market, because bonds are selling off, rates are going up. Yeah. Yeah.
And they're doing this.
Who would want to buy bonds at this point in their life?
Yeah. And they're doing this at a time when the central bank indirectly does it impact things. They've been aggressively lowering the prime rate, right? So like what's Canada at now? 2.75 or we saw it today. Joe I think it's 2.75.
Yeah, okay.
So like this is fucked up. Like it's going in the wrong directions, these things. And what the fuck's gonna happen? I'm afraid what's gonna happen. Especially for people that have variable mortgages, especially for people that are going to have to lock in and shit goes crazy. You're like, oh, fuck. Man.
I guess to me, remember the backstop is the banks aren't going to let the real estate market get out of control. Can there be more pain ahead? I just think they step in. Hey, you're having problems? We'll send you checks.
Sure.
We'll send you a check. You're having a problem with your... Hey, listen, they let mortgage amortization rates go up during the pandemic. We saw some with Infinity. We saw some over 100 years. Like at first we saw 40 years, then 60, then we saw 90. And then when they went over 100, you have to call the bank to see how high it was. So that's technically defaults. They just found a way to let people have the same payment and the amortization go through the roof. So that's technically... And this is why this is my point of where the banks always win. So when everyone thinks the real estate market's going to crumble, are there going to be sectors? Yeah. Are you going to see bad things in the real estate market where somebody bought a house for $1 million and then it sells for 750 or 7? Absolutely. On a whole, you think the Canadian banks are going to sit idle next to Ottawa and let the Canadian real estate market crumble?
It's not just the Canadian. You said Ottawa's. That's the big one. Because think of the support that the Liberal Party has from a group of folks that are homeowners.
It was the boomers who voted got this last election to victory. So I mean, you're beholden to your voters. Let's see if that changes.
No, it won't. And I'm not blaming anybody for this. This is a reality. If somebody
it's
voted,
brutal that prices are this high.
It is. But I can't blame the Liberal Party if they're going to want to cater for homeowners and try to make sure that the home market doesn't crash because they're the ones that voted. Like this is just politics, right? Like if somebody voted me in and they like, I'm going to try, like you help me out.
I still feel like we should blame them because I think it's just, it's so offside, but sure. Yeah.
So what do you like? You know what? I just whatever happens. I don't really care. And it's sad to say.
It's what happens to a population. I'll never forget my uncle in Croatia said that like before he said the population, so he passed away now. And he said the population there was such a hardworking population. But then as socialism really, like people were engineers, there was a lot of people, apparently a lot of his friends were in Iraq working in the energy sector, building oil refineries and stuff. Like they were just kind of well known to really get into that space and travel around, hardworking, well-educated. And then as socialism kind of crept in over the last, I guess it would be 70 years or so and more and more and more, he said people's hands started going out and they didn't work as hard. And he said he saw a population over 50 years go from hardworking, responsible people that produced for themselves to people everywhere just sticking their hand out, wanting more and more from the government. And you could just see that happening now. Like if anything bad happens in the real estate market or otherwise, people just look to Ottawa to say, save me, save me, save me. So I think what happens to people like you and I, you just look at that happening and then you stop caring because you're like, I know what the outcome is. The government's always going to save you. The answer is always going to be M2 money supply increasing. It's always going to be debasement, robbing the purchasing power of the population. Unbeknownst to them, they're going to complain about the price of a fruit bowl at Costco, and they don't realize they're voting for the problem they're creating. And you just look around and you've peeled back the curtain. You've looked at the Wizard of Oz and you said, holy shit, I don't like what I see. And Bitcoin, thank God for Bitcoin. Thank God.
Yeah, it gives me peace of mind. I wake up, a lot of things I don't give a fuck about.
Yeah.
Like the thing over here, as things go up, people that we talked about that are able to, they could move and stuff like that. Croatia, the people that, they went through that fucking war 30 plus years ago, right? I guess the people that were able to get the fuck out, they did. Because, a
lot didn't. My grandparents were there with literally over the hills they live in, there's bombs going off.
And we
couldn't talk to them for months at a time.
Yeah.
My aunt from Germany had to go to the edge of where they lived, kind of like an equivalent of Canada would be like the region, I guess. And the army said, you can't go further because you're going to be bombed. So she waited till the middle of the night, turned her lights off to her old car, and they let her through to check on our grandparents. And she drove down the roads in the dark so nobody could see her to see if our grandparents were okay. Like, it's insane.
Yeah. And
that was the 90s. That's not that long ago.
I know. I went to school with a guy. Like, he came to Canada and he said, like, a bomb went through his fucking roof.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's a hole in, like, there's shit like this.
We were at a tavern. Me and my a good friend of mine, we went to his family in a different part of Croatia, and they run a tavern. Half the tavern was bombed, and they had some duds, some missiles from like jets that would bomb it.
Yeah.
And we were holding the missile, a dud. I have pictures of me holding missiles like this in my arms, like this big.
We could do this 30 years later, right? But like, imagine at the time when
I know at the time,
right?
Yeah. Well, I was doing that in like 1996, I think it was.
And this is the thing with Canada. Whatever the fuck you say about it, Canada is a few things. One, it's one of the greatest places in the world to work and make money.
Or like safety, you mean?
Just make money. With safety too. That was another thing I was going. But just initially is if you want to earn a living. And just potentially make savings. Very few places exist like Canada. Maybe United States you could make.
You still think you could save money here?
With the right skill set and the right attitude? Yeah,
okay.
Because
right skill set. So, and that skill set is what? More and more blue collar type work in the trades?
Yes. I'm just trying to compare it to the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Where think about it. Like name a country that you could go there and you could make a living and then exceed that and have savings in a currency that's not being crushed.
Yeah, there's not many.
So like Canada isn't it?
Yeah.
We don't have war. There's no threat of war here. We're not going to have an army coming in. It's just beautiful over here. So you have stability in government. Talk about the government all you want. The government doesn't fucking collapse every two years. Like there's stability here, and you can say what you want, but there's not people in the streets aren't with pitchforks. They're maybe protesting, but there's no pitchforks. Shooting.
Relative to the rest of the world.
It is beautiful. It is. We have clean air, clean water. We have abundant energy. There's so much that
we keep all that stuff in the ground, Len. We don't want to sell it to the world. But I see what you're saying.
That's too bad. But in terms of what Canada has, it's
a good country.
Phenomenal position. Well-educated population. A lot of people willing to work. Unfortunately, there's not enough work out there to be had. Like it is a great place to be, but. Just, unfortunately, other people just like me.
I think when you see how great it could be, the potential of what it could be, that's where some of my personal frustration comes out. But you're right. Relative to the rest of the world, this place has a lot of
advantages. That's why you could say what you want about Canada, but it's still a great place.
Well, you're the one that has the fucking side chat, get the fuck out or whatever.
Because I'm done. Because I'm done.
You just went on explaining how great it is and you're like, done.
I grew up in an area of Toronto after I moved out from... Yonge and Lawrence area. I went to an area of Toronto that when we started moving.
Stop banging the table. You're gonna get it fucking in the mic. No one's gonna.
Sorry, that's just
I see you're making your point.
When we moved there, it was a nice place, and it was a place that you could raise a family. Within 15 years, it was turned to be the fucking terrible place, and now it's pathetic. So I lived it. I saw what happened in a very short period of time. Granted, that was a very small area of Toronto, but I see.
So you think that's the trend we're on? So you think, so to sum up what you just said, because it seems like two contrasts to me. You said Canada is so beautiful.
Still is.
But it's on a bad trend.
Yes. And by the time it changes to the point of, I got to get the fuck out, I'd rather make the plans to get the fuck out. And
so you think you might end up in Italy at some point?
No, it's not. It might.
Really?
For sure.
Really?
For sure.
Wow, you're shocking me right now.
Why?
I didn't think that you had that in you. I thought you were going to be,
No. I've always had this idea of moving.
Family's on board for that at some point? Or
my wife is, she's more and more on board every day.
Does she speak Italian?
She's fluent. It's the first language she learned was Italian, and she learned English second after that.
Wow.
So going there, the only one that's going to be the biggest issue for me is my daughter. But you know what?
Are you working on getting your citizenship there?
It's all taken. So my daughter is the big one, but the life here moving forward, I can't see longevity here. So she has Bitcoin, She bought the dip actually this week. She bought some Bitcoin.
Nice.
Yeah, so she's got a
Wow, what was the dip this week? It was like
104.
104. Now we're talking about 104 is the dip.
Yeah,
I love it. I love that 104 is the dip.
She bought a 104.
Bought the dip 104. I mean, I'm happy for her. Sorry, I'm not. I mean, I'm just laughing that 104 is now the dip.
She's been buying.
Now you're making me look at the price. What?
It was last I saw was 107.
Yeah,
109.
1083 right now. Yeah.
So she's been buying. Gosh, 60s, maybe 50s. Like she's been buying
58K gang. She was part of the 58K gang.
maybe.
Yeah.
She's been in for a while.
Let's just say yes. Everybody was.
Everybody was. So like she's buying that. So like I think I'll be able to leave enough for her. She'll be able to like. So there's
Awesome, man.
There's more. I think one's life. You could get more out of life over there than you can over here.
You're really living. You are living there. It's a better expression of life.
Yes. Yes. Longevity, number one, that's a statistic. And is a statistic. Maybe you're not living the best of life. But if you look at the average lifespan of a female over there versus here, it's 85 versus 83 here. So slightly, people say the healthcare. No, the healthcare is universal.
It's fine.
It's universal. Same as
Nick had to use the doctors over there.
shitty
State of the art.
It's shitty everywhere, right? But you could pay for private.
He paid and got state of the art facilities.
That's the one you got to go for. You have to pay for the private. You don't go for the so yeah. So that healthcare is good as if you pay for it. If not, you're gonna get to suffer the same way people suffer here. Food is better, climate's better, culture's better, and you can go anywhere for cheap. You go to France.
You can find a flight. You can find a flight for 80 euro is
Less.
expensive.
Yeah.
We booked one. We're going from Italy over to Croatia. 54 euro.
Is it a flight or a train?
A flight.
Oh, yeah, it's
54 euro.
yeah,
a flight.
Fucking dirt cheap. And if you put it into context, if I want to go to like
Vancouver,
that's a 3 hours time zone. Let's use some.
Okay, Montreal.
Ottawa.
Okay.
Right,
Ottawa.
it's an hour closer. Like it's a 45-minute flight to an hour closer by driving. How much is the flight?
300. Well, it depends. It is
I know.
$350.
I found
no problem.
A flight to Lyon, France, that came up on my deals. It was $350, taxes in, round trip from Toronto to Lyon, France.
Oh wow, that's a good deal.
I could go to fucking France, but when you get there, then you could go anywhere for fucking cheap. Yeah,
That's why I love going over there. My God.
And you can go and you're in the middle. You want to go?
Len, we have a place there. You can use it anytime you want.
Will fucking come by.
We don't rent it out. Our cousin Goran will bring you the key. I'm not joking. We don't rent it out. Oh, it's so good. Oh, it's so good, Len. And right next to the people we bought it off, we become like family. And, you know, we had an a cappella group sing local Croatian songs, and we were roasting a pig, and you're drinking and singing, and the men are singing, and like everyone's singing the songs because everybody knows the songs because they're Croatian and they're Croatian songs. And it's just, I used to discount it when I was a kid because I grew up going there.
Exactly this.
And now I look around, I'm like, oh my gosh, and they're dancing, and
it's the best.
It's so good.
Yeah,
it's so good. I'm going to show you a video after this. It's so good. God. And then we go down to the beach, and my feet are in the stones all summer, and I don't even wear a shirt for like weeks at a time. Like if I have to go into the little town and I know I have to go into a store and you have to put a shirt on, I'm like pissed off. I'm like, oh shit, I got to bring who has a tank top? Just grab any old shirt, doesn't matter, dirty, smelly, whatever, just to get in the store. And then I want to get in. It's like a hasty market where you have to get something, right? And I'm like, get me out of this. Why am I in the inside? Get me out into the sun. Fresh olive oil.
I know. Why are we here? So are your parents still with us?
Yeah. Yeah.
So maybe that's partially why you're still here.
Well, my kids were in school, and we started a business here, Len. I don't know if you fucking realize that. You're in our business. So like we have some roots.
You could liquidate and get the fuck out anytime you want. But your wife's parents are still here too, right?
Father passed, mom. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we still have roots here.
So, but once those roots, I mean,
I think we'll just, like I said, I think we'll just float around more.
Yeah.
Already, I'm traveling next week. We're gone for a month in the summer, and then I have multiple trips in the fall, and already planned another winter trip probably for a month. So it's starting to happen, you know?
Yeah. It's staying here for the winter doesn't make sense.
This winter was just too much for me.
This spring, it doesn't. I have a
what
fig
spring?
tree. Exactly.
There's no spring in Canada. I tell everybody the best month in this country, September into the fall. September, October. It's the best time in this country. Oh yeah.
Whenever it turns warm. Whenever.
No, but it's like a humid and then windy. In July, it's windy. You go to a patio and the wind. I'm so against the wind. The wind is horrible. Nice sunny day and the wind starts hitting you. September, October, best months.
That's the best.
Right until about Halloween.
In Europe too, because
it's a beautiful time there too.
The tourists are gone. The weather is still.
Okay, I need to just a couple more quick things. Michael Saylor, fan, not a fan? You're not a fan, right?
I don't
You
give a
guys
shit about him.
Yeah, okay, so Jack Mahler's 21 Capital, brutal.
I don't get.
But Bitcoin's for friends and enemies, so you can't really care too much.
I don't give a shit about them.
Okay.
They can do what they want.
Okay. There's no real good books anymore that I'm reading. Are you reading any good books?
No, I'm not reading any. But always the book I'll always recommend is Saifedean's book.
Sure, the Bitcoin Standard.
And the Fiat Standard too is really good.
Fiat Standard's good.
Yeah.
Yes. That's. What about? I'm starting to recommend the bullish case for Bitcoin, Vijay Boyapati, to people who think the Bitcoin Standard I think might be too much for them.
The Bitcoin Standard, I don't think is too much because it gives
been told people think it's too much.
But it gives you.
I'm a huge fan. I'm a huge fan.
Yeah.
The first 4 chapters, all you need, up to page 72. The top of page 34 is my favorite page in the whole book. Do you know what it says? The top of page 34 in the first edition, because I don't know if it's changed, says, I'm going to butcher it, but it basically says you can ignore Bitcoin. You can ignore hard money, but you can't ignore the consequences of ignoring hard money. And when I read that fucking line, I must fucking shit myself.
You know, it's a good. You can listen to it on YouTube because there is an audiobook that somebody put on the Bitcoin Standard on there, so you can listen to it in your car.
Yeah, it's so good.
What you do, running or whatever.
Price of Tomorrow. I'm a huge fan of Price of Tomorrow because I think it took me 2 years to fully digest what Jeff Booth was saying there. That's why I talk about GDP and productivity and all that kind of stuff. You've read The Price of Tomorrow or no?
No. No.
Len.
But what is it going to change for me?
Oh my God, Len. That's why when we're talking about GDP, you're talking productivity. Len. I
don't give a shit about
Len.
The only thing.
Len.
There's only one thing that matters.
Len, you must read The Price of Tomorrow. No. Has Joey read The Price of Tomorrow?
I think so.
Len.
There's only one thing that matters.
No.
Today, I have more sats than I had yesterday. And tomorrow, I want more sats than I have today. That is it.
The Sovereign Individual. Have you read that?
No.
Oh,
I'm familiar with it.
I put it down. I'm
trying to be the sovereign individual.
I think I read it in 2003 or 2004, and I put the book down. Obviously, no Bitcoin at this time. Didn't know anything as much. I didn't understand things as well as I do now. Not that I understand them great now. I put the book down, and I remember thinking, I just read something very, very important. And that was all I did with it. I just knew. And then now to learn Bitcoin and then circle back to that book, The Sovereign Individual. Okay, it's an old book, so maybe you don't have to go to it, but The Price of Tomorrow. I'm ordering you a copy to your house. No. So mandatory. No.
All I care about is I have more sats today than yesterday, and tomorrow.
All I care about is you're reading The Price of Tomorrow.
And I have my node that I could verify everything. I'm a sovereign Bitcoiner.
I agree.
That counts. I am able to do everything privately. I'm able to do everything.
That's why I like you. Yeah. And I won't bring up fucking Aqua Wallet ever again.
Liana Wallet. That's one I forgot. Liana Wallet.
You like this one?
Liana is good because you could lock up your Bitcoin.
I've never even heard of it.
Liana.
Liana. Liana Wallet?
Mm-hmm. Wow. So if you have Bitcoin and you, just in case your keys get compromised or whatever, you could lock your Bitcoin so that it only will be available after a certain block has been.
Nice.
So if you want to say in 7 years, 10 years.
The security features coming out now on all these wallets. The usability is getting great.
So that's why Liana Wallet.
Okay, so Liana Wallet.
If you have a substantial amount of Bitcoin that you don't want to you're never going to touch no matter what happens to the price of Bitcoin, use that, lock it up for a year, 5 years, 10 years, whatever the fuck you want to lock up your Bitcoin, and to hell with everything. Then, even a $5 rent attack.
Is it iOS too or no, Android only? Because you're probably an Android guy, right?
No, it's not. It's on the computer.
Oh, sorry. What was I thinking? Of course.
No, you don't want to.
I know. Yeah, Len. I know who I'm dealing. I forgot who I was dealing with.
Yeah,
I forgot who I was dealing. I like the fact that shocks you that I asked that question. Okay, so books, the Bitcoin Standard. Any other books?
I love that book.
It is great.
That's the only.
I have a signed copy from Saifedean.
Prick.
Yeah, I think I lent it out and never got it back.
What a fucking ass.
I know.
Do you know who it was?
No, because at that time I was handing out the Bitcoin Standard like cookies. I was buying 10 at a time and handing them out to everybody. This is like 5 years ago. Any other podcasts other than the Canadian Bitcoiners that you're listening to that you like right now?
There's actually, and you'll laugh. I listen to really 3 podcasts.
Okay, tell me the NHL one you listen to.
No, okay. I listen to only 3 podcasts. Okay. I like listening to Mike Campbell's Money Talks.
Okay, I'm not familiar with it, but you had him on your podcast, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Joey's on it periodically, and I think he's going to go there this week, next week, whatever the heck it is.
Okay.
I like that Bitcoin Italia podcast I listen to.
Holy shit. Bitcoin Italia? Is it in Italian?
It is. I like listening to this.
Do they know you're listening?
No.
You got to tell them.
I should.
Why don't you guys have a joint Canadian Bitcoiners Bitcoin Italia day? Come on.
There was an event that was in...
I'll bring over some prosciutto for you.
There was an event.
Some cheese.
Just outside in Milan. It was an event, a Bitcoin event.
Okay.
And,
Yeah, I think I saw it. I think I saw what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Recently, no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think it was about the Lightning Network. Or
even
something.
there was Bull Bitcoin representation there.
That's right. Francis spoke at it, right?
He did speak, and he spoke in Italian.
Yeah, that's right. I saw it.
So that's two, and the third one I listened to. You'll laugh.
Okay.
Periodically, I listen to your show.
Holy
when it's somebody
shit.
I know that
Okay.
shows up, I like to listen to it.
Cool.
That's the only three I listen.
Just see you ranting when fuck. There's Tom mentioning that fucking liquid again.
You don't-
Next time I say liquid, I'm gonna have to say Len. Hopefully Len's not listening. But
that's
I'm gonna get
it.
some nasty fucking text from Len.
There's a
Tom
lot of people
mentioned
out
liquid.
there that they're like doing the 40 hours per week
Yeah.
of podcast listening. Have you heard this? Have you never heard this? It's something that's going around. The only way to really absorb shit is you got to dedicate 40 hours per week.
You know what? Like, so I went through my 20s. I read hundreds and hundreds of books, and then in the 30s, early 30s as well, and then in the late 30s, I was starting this business and got to just doing stuff, and then hit Bitcoin, and then it went to hundreds and hundreds of hours of podcasts a week, and then in the last 6 months. I'm just kind of pulling back from everything a little bit. I'm doing less podcasts myself. I'm listening to less. I'm reading more about quantum physics and consciousness. Why I keep bringing it up.
Well, we're going. It's like there's an evolution here.
Yeah,
and
you kind of move on. You kind of just. I don't know what the right term is. It's just I don't want to say you graduate, but you've kind of picked up what you needed. It really filled a void. And then you're like satisfied.
I think we're in a
and you're happy.
Yeah.
You're happy, and you kind of start to move on a little bit.
I think we're in the same wavelength for a lot of things. So you see, like I think we're just near each other.
Yeah, I feel grateful to cross paths with you and Joey, man. Seriously,
man.
it's.
I don't know how this happened, by the way. Somehow, you reached out to us.
Oh, because I think Nigel on our team, I think is it his brother-in-law, listens to you guys or something, mentioned it to Nigel, and then somehow Nigel encouraged us to reach out to you. Mm-hmm. So I think we reached out to you and said, can you guys come on? We're a real estate brokerage. Can you like swallow your pride and come over to our real estate brokerage and talk about Bitcoin? And somehow you guys did.
I don't know problem.
I don't know why you did.
With somebody buying real estate, I have no issues because there's a reason you can't live in your Bitcoin. Mm. You got to live somewhere.
Agreed. Yes. Yeah.
So and
it's not either or for everyone. Like this is the biggest thing I tell everyone. I'm like, listen, yes, is there going to be the monetization of real estate is going to decrease? Absolutely. But it doesn't mean there's going to not be a market for people buying and selling real estate.
100%. People have to.
It's apparently a need.
Yeah. For eternity.
But the monetization of real estate definitely got out of hand.
But so you could take. There's a floor here.
Yeah.
Whatever the floor is.
I can't wait to figure out where this floor is.
I don't think we'll ever see it.
But
whatever it is, like you have to live somewhere. Mm-hmm. And renting. Mm-hmm. I've never done it, so I can only speak what I think.
I'm not really.
It sucks.
Yeah.
I like having my own house,
especially if you have a family.
Yeah, but I can't speak out of experience. So I'm talking out of my ass here.
Same.
So that's why I have no problem with anybody buying a home.
Yeah.
That's fine. You want to lever it? Go nuts.
If you move to Italy, are Canadian Bitcoiners podcast going to live on?
No, I because of the 6-hour time difference.
You guys are going to have to pull it off. The thing I really appreciate that you guys do is you're consistent. I love the fact that how researched you are. And I love the different topics that you talk about on your podcast, like that you bring up all the different topics and you really have an informed view on them. You guys just do a great show. Like I really commend you for the amount of time and effort that you need to put into that consistently. It's a lot of work.
We're generally in the top list of top podcast on Fountain. So there is a number of people. I want to see if we're still there. There's a number of people that like listening to us. I don't know why, but I can't even find it. Fuck it.
Yeah. You guys do a great job, man.
Yeah, we're usually like I don't know.
So tell everyone how many times are you on a week? What's live? What's not? Like give us
all
YouTube.
All live. So it's Monday nights, 7 p.m. Eastern. We go live usually for an hour and a half ish or so. And there's another show we tend to do either Tuesdays or Wednesdays, 7 p.m. one of the 2 days. It's usually a chat with somebody, an interview, and maybe you'll come on very soon again.
Yeah,
you come on.
Yeah,
we had your co-host. Mm-hmm. So we do 2 shows a week, and so it's fun.
Yeah. Thank you, Len. I appreciate it. Oh, on Twitter, where can people find you? No? Is that not the place?
Not for Twitter.
Okay, YouTube. What's the YouTube channel?
Canadian Bitcoiners.
Canadian Bitcoin. Google up Canadian Bitcoiners. You're going to find you guys.
I think somebody was saying you're on Twitter. I was like, no, I think I did the numbers. I must have tweeted out 20 times
That's
this year.
Yeah.
Like in this calendar year. Like 2 or 3 years ago, I said, I'm not the product anymore. I'm done.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
You kind of hit that point. Yeah, agreed. Kind of how
I
when I
care.
use it now too, it's kind of like, ugh. You know, it's not.
But again, you have a business, so you have to have that presence there. People. So for me, like this is just a fun side gig for me.
Maybe we'll both disappear at the same time, Len. Whatever happened to those two guys?
We could time this right.
Yeah.
I have a set date, I think, but things may change for that. We'll see if our calendars align.
Yeah. It sounds like they're in the same vicinity. Anyway, Len, thank you.
Pleasure.